I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
Finally, The Rock has come back. I hate this idea that you're the best.
And if you're not down with that, we got two words for ya!
I'm the best in the world.
I fight at WrestleMania for the very, very small percentage of people that walk this planet and say I am proud to be, I'm sorry, a professional wrestler.
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
It's Podcast of the Immortals with your hosts, Matt Bush and Jimmy Bellamy.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. I'm Jimmy Bellamy.
I'm Matt Bush.
And today we have a great show lined up for you. We're of course going to talk about this past week's Raw, and we're going to discuss a favorite of ours, the top foreign objects.
Yeah. And when we were compiling this list,
I can't believe how many we thought of, and we just kept going.
yeah, it kind of became more of like a scroll of of foreign objects.
We ran out of room on the paper.
What we did, we each came up with our top 5, but we're going to list them all off for you just to look at all the ridiculous crap WWE has done in the past, and maybe some memories will come out of that, so that should be fun.
There's some great items here that everybody can use in a match, in a given match, and then there's others that are specifically tied to some wrestlers, and then there's others that you wonder, how in the hell, why would these even be near a ring?
Exactly. But we'll kick off with Raw like we always do, and this week, what do you know, the show started off with a John Cena promo and Ryback promo.
And Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah, no Team Bricky though.
No, Brad Maddox.
No, Brad Maddox. I didn't like it. I thought it was dumb. He's doing the same old shtick again. It's getting old.
I get when people sing a cappella, I get really uncomfortable. It doesn't matter where it is. It can be in person, which is the worst. But even if they're on the radio, if they're on TV, once somebody starts singing an a cappella, I get this like tingly, like uncomfortable feeling. It's not like a tingly ooh excitement. And I get the same way when John Cena tries to be funny during his promos.
Yeah.
I get that same feeling, and it's made even worse when it's against an opponent that's supposed to be scary or intimidating. And Ryback is a guy where if this was even 5 years ago, he'd come down to the ring and he'd beat the hell out of Cena, and that's it. He wouldn't sit there and take his little kid insults.
Yeah, it was. Cena said he wanted a whine-off match for Extreme Rules because Ryback's such a whiner, apparently. And then he goes, you know what, screw that. I want a granny panties on a pole match. Who's writing this for him? Is this like off the cuff? Is he coming up with this stuff?
I'm only hoping that he came up with that, because if that's being written for him and getting greenlit, not good.
No, it's not good. One of our listeners and former guest, Andy McKinnon, loved the segment. Apparently, he thought Cena was awesome and that he got really pumped for the upcoming match. So I just wanted to let that out there. But
John Cena can do no wrong in his eyes.
Yeah. So Ryback gets to pick the stipulation because Cena says he doesn't care. He's going to win either way. So you pick the stipulation. So Ryback, being the smart genius he is, decides to make it a last man standing match against Cena, who never stays down ever and will not lose this match.
I think the only reason they did that was that way Ryback can lose without getting pinned, and they can somehow make an excuse for why he gets a rematch, and he won't look weak in defeat or as weak, especially against the guy who never loses a last man standing match.
Yeah.
Unless they come up with a clever idea which they could recycle, like the empty arena match between Rock and Mankind, where Mankind pinned Rock underneath the forklift.
Yep.
If they do something like that where Cena has to stay down, kind of like what Cena did to Wade Barrett when was it all those tables came down?
I think so, yeah. And when Del Rio and Big Show fought on SmackDown for the title, and he pushed the announce table on him.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly Andy had an idea that the Shield's going to beat up Cena for some reason.
Well, that's what I keep thinking every segment this not this week, but during this feud, Ryback and the Shield don't make contact. Mm-hmm. And I think it's an inevitability, or at least they're leaving it open as a possibility in case they want to go that route. They could have Ryback become a force with the Shield, not necessarily become a member of the Shield, but he could be a part of a faction with them.
Yeah, would it be kind of like the if you can't beat him, join him kind of situation? Or
they could play it off as that. They could say that, maybe they'll make reference to Ryback being a former NXTer and wanting to take out that they have this common bond, being that they're both enemies of Cena or something like that.
I don't know. The Shield screwed over Ryback more than anyone else in the past 6 months or so, in his fights against CM Punk. And to me, it doesn't make any sense that he would align himself with the Shield. So I don't know. I'm just really disappointed that this is the stipulation for the match, because I really don't see any way for Cena to lose this match.
The thing I would have liked to have seen, which I think could have gotten the same thing across by not having somebody get pinned, if that's truly a concern of theirs, is I would have preferred to see a table match between the two. You had that Cena-Sheamus table match from about 3 years ago when Sheamus won the WWE title for the first time. That'd be a cool match to see, just because I think it'd be a lot more entertaining. These last man standing matches where you have to have the ref count everywhere they go. I'm not a fan of that.
Unless they end up in the back. They never have those kind of like brawls in the back of the stadium anymore.
They don't, and it's funny, until you said that, I didn't realize that, but you're right. They usually don't go anywhere behind the scenes, which they did so often in the late 90s and in the early 2000-ish era.
So we'll see. That's our main event for Extreme Rules next Sunday.
Hooray!
Yeah. Although it doesn't look like a totally bad pay-per-view.
Oh no, the card looks good. Yeah. I'm excited for the card. I just think for the main event, that's not the best match. At least that's not the one I'm looking most forward to.
Especially, I don't see how Ryback wins, but I don't see how his character progresses if he doesn't win.
They would need a quick recovery of some kind. If they put him into some stupid number one contenders match to get that spot back, or if he was somehow able to win the title the next night on Raw. I don't think they've done that in a while, but that's what I'm always holding out hope for, is that if a result doesn't go a certain way for a pay-per-view, that right away the next night they win it on Raw. And that, I think, would be a way to rectify the situation. But to me, if Ryback doesn't win, that really slows any of the momentum that already has been slowed from him. He's got to get that title, especially as a bad guy. He needs to have something to cling to.
Yeah, but I don't understand. When was the last time Ryback actually won a match on a pay-per-view? Or has he won a match on pay-per-view?
We had that discussion. I think this was his...
Yeah,
I think he's lost 6 or 7 pay-per-views in a row. And his last pay-per-view victory was over Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex in a handicap match.
Yeah, and now he's the number one contender. Why? I don't know.
Because he doesn't like John Cena. I think that's the only reason.
I should be the number one contender if that's all you have to do. Well, anyways, after the promo, we had a Damian Sandow versus Randy Orton match, and I was, hoping for another good match like we had last week with Cody Rhodes, but that was not to happen, as Randy Orton went over him fairly easily. But the highlight of the match happened before the match, and that was when Damian Sandow sang his own version of Randy Orton's theme song, which is, I thought, really funny.
I got a kick out of it, but I was hoping that he would have ended the song with anus instead of ignoramus. I thought they were setting up for an anus blast.
Anus blast. How do you set up for an anus blast?
You get out of the way. That's what you do.
I thought you'd bend over.
I was hoping for a better match, a longer match.
Yeah.
Like the Cody Rhodes match was, I think they had at least one commercial break. This one was fairly quick, and I don't know if they're going to do something with Orton now, but I like Sandow. He just seems to be that guy that he's always facing someone with a little more momentum, and he ends up being the guy to do the job. He still manages to look good though, and I think if he gets the tag titles with Rhodes sometime soon, although people are talking that it might be the Shield who get those titles, put something on him, put the US title on him, put the IC title on him, get him a belt.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It does look like they're starting to build Orton again. He's won the last couple of weeks. He's fighting
Cesaro tonight on Main Event. I did not look at the spoilers on that.
Yeah. So maybe they're finally starting to push Orton again, maybe get him back to the main event. It's been a few years.
I can't believe how long it has been since he has had the title and been, because really he was, at one point, he was one of the faces of the company.
He was on par with Cena, basically.
Yeah.
He won the World Heavyweight Championship when he went to SmackDown. The day after Christian, or 2 days after Christian had finally won it. But they had a hell of a feud, and it was really good. And then he had that wellness
violation, which I think he's had at least 3.
I think he's had
4.
all of them. I think he's had all the violations.
Yeah, he has been given a lot of rope by that company.
It's been 2 years, and you can tell he's getting a little tired of just kind of treading water in the mid card, not doing much. So maybe this will lead to bigger things for him.
And they just keep recycling that feud. It's like he's playing musical chairs with Mark Henry and Sheamus and Big Show, and then every once in a while Wade Barrett gets thrown in there.
Yeah.
And they just keep trading partners back and forth.
It's like they don't know what to do with any of them. Next, we had another Fandango match, maybe his 4th total, against R-Truth, and R-Truth got in all the offense. Fandango left. But I was bummed there was no Summer Rae.
No Summer Rae.
No Summer Rae this week.
And also, when the match was over, they didn't say your winner by countout, R-Truth, which I thought kind of took away from everything, because Fandango takes off after spending a little bit of time outside, and then it's like ding, ding, ding. Everybody knew, okay, it was a countout, but I thought it was odd that Justin Roberts didn't announce your winner by countout.
Yeah,
I
didn't catch that.
Call me OCD-ish, but I think that was necessary.
And then you have Chris Jericho there. I'm like, oh, sweet, Jericho. But he's there to judge their dancing skills, apparently.
With tons of funk.
And next week, there's going to be a dance-off, finally, between Jericho and
So we've had in recent weeks, we've had a tug of war, an arm wrestling contest, a dance-off, and a couple months ago we had a bench pressing contest. This is great. I want that
wrestling show.
I just want that push-ups contest that harkens back to the days of the Ultimate Warrior and Earthquake and Dino Bravo.
They did push-ups?
They did push-ups, and they had... This was before Earthquake was Earthquake. He was just John from Virginia, this guy in the crowd.
John from Virginia.
He was in the crowd, and they brought him out, and he had to sit on the backs of Dino Bravo and the Ultimate Warrior in their push-up contest. And then he kind of pretty much bonsai dropped, for lack of a better term. He bonsai dropped Ultimate Warrior during the contest, and he revealed himself as the Canadian Earthquake. And there was the Earthquake, but he was the Canadian Earthquake for a while. He had the little maple leaf on his singlet.
May as well be a bullseye.
John Tenta.
Well, after that disappointing match, if you can even call it a match,
Truth looked good though,
and it looks like they're building Truth, because he had that clean win over Cesaro, win over Fandango. He had all the offense. Fandango didn't even get him moving on him. So they might be building him too. I don't know what, but
yeah, the ceiling is low for some of these guys that they can only build so many people. And where's Miz been? Is he hurt or shooting a movie?
I think he's shooting another movie, but I don't know what. I could be wrong.
And I'm probably the only person who said, "Where's Miz?"
You probably, yeah. I haven't asked myself that. We had an interview with Daniel Bryan right after. Bryan says he's going to prove that he has what it takes, that it takes more than the Shield to keep him down, and that tonight he wants Ryback again. And did you see that Ryback match against Daniel Bryan from SmackDown?
I didn't. I have a DVR.
It was really good. Really, really good. You should check it out. Well, Ryback is right behind him, of course, breathing how Ryback does. And
that reminds me, Orton fights Ryback on SmackDown this week.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
That was according to Randy Orton's Twitter account.
The Viper, WWE.
So you're saying Ryback, breathing, Daniel Bryan match?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's my fault.
Ryback says he declines the match, saying that he'd destroy Bryan even if Bryan was healthy. So Kane steps in and basically says, well, I'm healthy, am I up to you? So
this just in, everybody. Miz is shooting a movie. He just finished his last scene from Christmas Bounty.
So. There you go, breaking news here on the PIT.
Hooray!
Or PTI. Podcast of the Immortals. Yeah, POTI. Pody.
Not to be confused with NHL hockey player Tom Pody.
Yeah, true. So they set up for the main event of the night, Kane versus Ryback. So we'll get that later. We had a rematch from last week's great match, Dolph Ziggler versus Alberto Del Rio, and this ended, I forget.
How did it end?
Hold on.
I seriously don't know.
Oh, Swagger came out.
That's right. Oh, and that was one thing I noticed. At first I thought, just like he's usually good at, when Swagger hit Ziggler in the head with the ladder, I thought he recklessly hit him with the ladder because Ziggler came in like he was anticipating getting hit in the stomach or the chest with the ladder, and then Swagger at the last second swung it at his head, and it looked like he just drilled him. But then in the replay, when they showed the other angle, Ziggler got out of the way. Like, he cleared it by like 3 feet.
Wow.
So he did a good job of selling, and I thought, oh my god, he just killed him. But then Del Rio wasn't so lucky. Del Rio took one in the head right after that.
And Swagger actually looked really impressive, I thought, at the end of this match, where he took out everybody. I mean, he took out Big E. He took out Ricardo Rodriguez. He was just a madman with a ladder, and so we'll see how they work all together at Extreme Rules. During this match, Ryback Rules was trending on Twitter because he had said that during his promo with Daniel Bryan. And I was wondering if that was similar to Raven's Rules, and if he was going to come out with like random crap in a shopping cart.
I keep thinking about Raven's Rules, and I think about O'Doyle Rules from Billy Madison every time he says that, and it just seems so generic. I mean, too generic for wrestling today to come out and just say, "I rule." I think, okay, are you in 8th grade?
I don't know. I wonder who would lose in a terrible on the mic contest between Ryback and Swagger. Who would be the worst on the mic?
I'd say Swagger, because Ryback showed improvement this week. He was not looking off to the side.
Oh, okay.
And he was looking at his opponents when he was talking to them. So I'd say Swagger. I mean,
Swagger only has 3 words to say, and he forgets those.
And he has that lisp, too.
Yeah.
And I know he can't really help that.
No.
I think that ship has sailed. He should have addressed that as a youth.
Yeah. During the Del Rio match, actually, they hit that reverse, like, superplex off the top rope. That's so cool, man. Only Ziggler can pull that off. I think that's really, really just a unique move. When I first saw it a few months ago, I'm like, holy shit. Because he was like, he sent flying over, and awesome.
He makes some of those moves look incredible.
Yeah.
And he's fun to watch, and I know some people don't like him, or they see him only as the guy from the Spirit Squad, but man, he's a tremendous seller.
Mm-hmm. So we head backstage again after the match, and it's Kaitlyn's Mystery Man scenario going on again.
I have several problems with this.
Okay.
First problem, no one would have the phone number of a dude who she doesn't know in her phone and be texting back and forth with him.
That's true.
Nobody would do that.
Well, and she said she was getting a text from a blocked number or an unknown number. It doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. Text messaging, you will see the number.
The other thing that I have a problem with is I know that the storyline is just going to end up with Hornswoggle on the other end of it.
It's always Hornswoggle. Although the Bellas looked rather pleased with themselves when it came out.
That's a good point. Yeah. It could have been them, but I'd like to think that it's not that obvious.
It's probably Bart Simpson and his Mickey Mantle. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Which one?
It was like an early Simpsons episode.
Is it the one where he got stuck in the well?
No, I don't think so. But Bart was being really nice to Mrs. Krabappel.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, pretending like he was in a relationship with her, and he sent her a photo of Mickey Mantle.
I do remember that.
Like, this is me.
I do remember that.
It's probably him. It's probably
and they
Bart.
had a Simpsons reference with the I choose.
They did during this, yeah. And so maybe it is Bart.
And what did Khali say when even the announcers broke into laughter? I couldn't understand what he said. I kept rewinding it and I had no idea.
When he was trying to give advice?
Yeah.
I love that little run that they're doing with him where he's like the sage, like wisdom, like guy in the back, like, oh no, you gotta do this and this, but no one can understand what the hell he's talking about. I think that's actually a kind of cool thing to do with him.
He's so big.
Yeah, he is. Kurt Hawkins tweeted out that Raw is Wiggum, so I thought that was kind of cool when the choo-choo-choos.
Which is funny. Did you see Matt Groening's mom died?
Yeah.
And she was born in Chisholm, and her maiden name was Wiggum.
I didn't see that she was born in Chisholm, but I knew it was Wiggum. There were a lot of Simpsons stuff in there. There was Homer, there was
Maggie and Lisa.
Maggie, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Springfield, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, we're getting off track. We can make a Simpsons podcast.
Love the Simpsons.
Yeah, me too. Did I ever do my Homer impersonation for you?
You've done it for me. I don't know if you've done it for the podcast.
What should I say as Homer?
Say one of your favorite lines from the show, or say something from wrestling.
All right.
So do Homer doing JR.
Oh man! My God, King has killed him. He was broken in half. I can't do it. It's like combining two. All right.
Just in Homer voice. Don't worry about JR's accent. Just say, stop the damn match. Enough's enough.
Stop the damn match. Enough is enough. Dope.
That's pretty good.
It's all right. It's hard to do it. Like I practice when with like real lines like Marge, it might just be the beer talking, but you've got a butt that just won't quit.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like it.
And I got these little stuff. $5. Get out of here.
We are quickly going off the rails. Yeah. And no beer this week either.
No, I'm rocking the root beer.
Good for you.
No caffeine.
That's good too. It's a safe alternative to caffeine.
Yeah. Okay, so back to wrestling. We had a Shield match against Kofi Kingston and the Usos, and by God, the Shield won.
Didn't see that coming.
Did not see that coming. You know, just when you think WWE is getting predictable, they go and do something like this. And
what a swerve.
Yeah.
Although, did Kofi get pinned in that match?
I believe he did. Yes, he did.
See, and that I found funny. Mm-hmm. I mean, what are they saving the Usos for?
I don't know. Well, the Usos kind of look good, actually, and Kingston was on a roll before Reigns knocked him off the rope, and then Ambrose hit him with his yet-to-be-named finisher. I don't know what it's called.
Although, the only thing I can figure is this might inject Kofi into the Shield saga. But other than that, I mean, I still can't tell which Uso's which, so I don't see what jobbing one of them would.
It's kind of funny. When I was writing the recap or rapid recap or whatever, like Ambrose was beating on one of the Usos in the corner, and I'm like, Ambrose is working one of the Usos over. Like I didn't know. What is it? Jimmy and Jay?
Jimmy and Jay, and I still don't know who's who.
They really should. You should put a marker on
or have a name tag. Hello, my name is.
Yeah, exactly. It was an okay match, actually. I thought it was a good tag match. Was. And Kingston, it looks like they still have some confidence in. He's looking pretty good last month or two. I
like seeing the Shield in more than just attacks. It's good to see them in matches, and I thought it was a well executed match. Both sides got plenty of offense, and it was. I was entertained. That's what they're shooting for.
We had another match, and this one I was kind of surprised by. It was Antonio Cesaro versus Zack Ryder.
Zack Ryder's getting a lot of time, and he's not
getting
winning
his ass kicked.
He's not winning matches, but he's
getting on TV.
It looks like he's trying to change up the hair a bit too.
Yeah, he's trying. Well, the announcers talked about that he wants to be taken more seriously, but I'm like, yeah, but dude, people buy those things, the glasses and the headband and. That's how you get over. But I don't know. We'll see. But it was jobber versus jobber, so I didn't know who was going to win, actually. And
you take that back right now.
Well, I mean, recently Cesaro has been jobbing, so
I know. I'm still upset about Ryder. He had a nice little bit of momentum, and they just completely killed it.
And then Kane just breaks him week after week. It was getting so funny. He was in a full body cast by the end of it. Every week. I thought that was pretty funny, but he couldn't rebound from that apparently. Cesaro came out with a beret and no yodeling, which I thought was a big step forward. And the announcers even said all right, yeah, he's tired of putting up with bullcrap, and he's here to beat some people up now.
He had the beret and the big glasses. I love that he won. I know he was facing Ryder, but if he wins this match on main event, which I'm tempted to look up and see if he won it, I don't see him beating Orton in that. I can't. But if he looks good in defeat, I'll have some renewed faith. Maybe WWE realizes that he is one of their good guys, and I hope they do something good with him, and that he doesn't get lost in the shuffle or let go.
He's so freaking good. I love that uppercut. I know we've talked about it before. And he finally, I saw another neutralizer for the first time in months.
It was a while. It's been a while.
But it was cool. After the match, they started promoting, for the umpteenth time of the night, the Brock Lesnar takes out Triple H's office. It was going to be, I don't know. They promoted it like it was Rock versus Cena 3, but it was not. And that's what we got next. We had Paul Heyman shooting a promo live via satellite, and then they cut to his footage from earlier in the day in Stamford, Connecticut, where him and Brock Lesnar kind of just went into WWE headquarters and run amok a bit.
It was ridiculous that they would hype this thing as much as they did and say, breaking news from WWE.com, and then they would wait, I think, 2/3 of the way through the show before showing it. That's ridiculous.
If this really happened, you know what you do? Call the cops.
Yeah. Call the police, fire whoever's in charge of security or in charge of not having security, and also get your COO a nice office. That paper-mache wall he had with the WWE logo, that
his unplugged-in TV.
That TV that was the little cardboard box display at a Walmart. Come on.
The sledgehammer that breaks.
That IKEA desk.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that was IKEA. IKEA is a lot nicer than whatever that was.
It was probably those $50 Walmart desk, that's where you can push the thumbtacks into it and.
Also, Brock, come on, buddy. You've got money. Get some pants. Don't wear warm-up pants all the time. Wear some pants. Real pants.
You never know where a basketball game's going to break out, though.
Oh, gross.
What I did like during the attack, I guess you could say, is that he stopped at the Rock Royal Rumble poster.
Yeah.
And he gave it a little quick stare down.
Yeah.
And then kept going.
I noticed.
And they had actually teased. That match was supposed to be for 30, WrestleMania 30. And it was supposed to start the night after WrestleMania, but The Rock was hurt. And The Rock is kind of saying, it's not going to happen. He might have wrestled his last match. So they might be laying the groundwork ever so slightly, and those are the moments that you pick up on, and you're like, oh, cool.
I can appreciate that, especially in the day now where feuds aren't allowed to have time to breathe and develop. People want it. Boom, boom, boom. If they can plant those little seeds and make a minor function turn into a major function at the end of this, and you can say, oh, I remember that. I remember that months ago, and now it's actually coming to fruition. I'll be pleased. Pleased as punch. Yeah. Because I heard punches pleased.
Robert Flores tweeted during the attack that says, I bet Brock sent some really stern emails pretending to be Triple H. That'll show him because of the fake email a few weeks ago. I thought that was pretty clever. So we cut back to the ring after we see all the destruction, and Paul Heyman's still talking bullshit, and out comes Triple H, who makes a good point. And he's like, you know, you knew I wouldn't be there. It's a Monday. You know I'm on the road with Monday Night Raw. I'm going to be here because I have two homes. One's in Stamford and one's right underneath my feet. I thought that was really good. I thought Triple H cut a really good promo.
When he said he has two offices.
Yeah.
I thought that one... The one thing that I thought was missing that he could have said, though, was, why don't we schedule a meeting for May 19th, 9 p.m. or whatever, with Brock. We'll have a performance review or something like that.
That would have been good.
Or make reference to how Brock, did damage to the walls of his office. Be like, you're not going to damage the walls of this office because it's going to be a cage. Which, by the way, I hope they have the old school blue cage, because they said old school cage match. I just hope they mean the cage itself will be old school.
Yeah,
it better be.
I just hope that when the doors open, they crawl to it super, super slow, like they're in slow motion.
Yes, or that the ref struggles to unlock it.
Yeah.
And that Heyman at some point will slam it over the head or arm or leg of Triple H.
That'd be good.
Because we've never seen that.
No. I'm really excited about it.
Lesnar's got to win this match, right? He has to.
I would assume so. But I'm more excited about this match than either of their previous ones.
Same here. I think we said that last week, too. WrestleMania, because it was pretty much known that Triple H would win that match. This one, the outcome's not so certain. And even if it is, it looks like it's going the way that I and you and I think a lot of people would want, and that's Lesnar being the winner. So I'm pumped. I love cage matches, and I'm excited for this pay-per-view because it makes me think back to the hardcore era, which I love.
Yeah. Well, I was watching. I told you I was watching WrestleMania 15, last night or the night before, and even though the matches were just kind of okay, they had something special in every one of them. Like they had Triple H turning on DX, and they had just crazy crap happening all the time. Like the Shane McMahon, on the Mean Street
Did he beat X-Pac for the European Championship?
And just a lot of stuff. Like they had Paul White.
Because that was when Triple H turned in that match, right?
Yeah,
he helped Shane.
He did. Okay. He came out and he was beating up some people. I forget who it was.
Was it the Posse?
It might have been. But then he turned on X-Pac at the end. And then there was some other stuff. Like they had a guest referee, but they had a match to be the guest referee. And Paul White gets arrested because he beat up Vince McMahon, and Mankind gets taken to the hospital, so Vince McMahon appoints himself as a referee for the Stone Cold and The Rock match. And then he comes out to be the ref, and then Shawn Michaels comes out and kicks him out because he's a commissioner, and then they bring back Mankind, and no, they don't do any of that stuff anymore. I know. It's just there's no twist, there's no spark.
That's one of the reasons why going into this WrestleMania, I had said that even with the card being predictable, if they can have
something
storyline changers happen, moments that make you turn a corner and say, okay, this guy changes allegiance, this extends a feud, this adds to a feud, this starts a feud, and you didn't. It was just here's our match for tonight.
They don't do a lot of that
stuff. I hope you like it.
In the last decade, even.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it probably points to certain people or a person not being there anymore. Yeah, I do miss that. Yeah. And that's what I want at a pay-per-view, because you're paying so much money, and now you have to sit through movie trailers and other commercials, which is bullshit, for paying $50 to $60.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to sit through any of that stuff. At least give us something meaningful that we can say, I'm glad I got this pay-per-view, instead of, oh man, I should have just watched the recap the next night on Raw for free.
Yeah, it's disappointing, and anyone who wants to see that WrestleMania, it comes out next Tuesday on Blu-ray and DVD at your local TV store. We had another Divas match between AJ Lee and the Bellas versus Kaitlyn and the Funkadactyls, and it was good. Like, it was actually decent, and I like that they're actually giving some storylines to these divas finally, because they've been an afterthought for months now.
It was actually, even just the intros for the match, the announcers were way more into it than they've been in a long time. And all 6 of these competitors, even though I think with the Funkadactyls the focus has been more on Naomi than Cameron. You don't really hear about Cameron too much, or you don't see her individually fighting. Usually she's only a part of those tag matches.
Yeah.
All 6 of those competitors right now, I think, are for lack of no pun intended, they're hot. I mean, people are invested in them right now. And I mean, the Bellas, I think the Bellas are better than they've ever been. So I mean, whatever they were doing in their time away, getting ready, I mean, I think they look like they're in better shape.
Yeah. And
they look like they're taking it a little more seriously, or they're being taken more seriously. And I like that. I'd like to see this women's division grow to what it was. I don't think it will ever reach the stages of the Lita Trish days unless they get some more athletic women in there. I mean, because at that time they had, I mean, with Victoria, I mean, they had a terrific crop of women
James.
who, I mean, they had a terrific crop that were really fun to watch. And even when Lita left, or even when Trish left, at certain points they would kind of pick it up still for a little while, but then it fell by the wayside once they got into like the Kelly era, when it came to actual, like the Candice Michelle era is kind of when it slowed down for me.
Yeah.
When they were putting the belt on her, and then it really lost its focus for a while because it was almost exclusive to SmackDown with Michelle McCool and Layla.
Yeah.
I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to that time. To SmackDown at that time, but I think they have some potential here, and those are the 6 women to do it.
Yeah, well, I like it. They, I mean, they have the storyline with Kaitlyn and AJ. They got the Bellas with Kaitlyn. They got the Bellas with AJ now, because AJ went for the tag, and both of the Bellas just like, nope, we're leaving, and AJ got speared by Kaitlyn for the finish. And the Funkadactyls are there, and they're dancing around, but they also are like, they can go in the ring. So I don't know, it's really cool. It's a lot better than it has been in a long time right now for the Divas. So props to you guys. And then we had Mark Henry and a Sheamus promo, which was it is what it is. Mark Henry, I like Mark Henry lately. I think he's been pretty good with his insults. He's no BS with him. He just cuts right to the chase, and I like that.
It was the battle of the gray shirts.
Yeah. And then they cut the promo short because Wade Barrett comes out.
Well, and they said, let's fight, and they were going to have a match.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
Wade Barrett
came out because the match was scheduled between Barrett and Sheamus.
And Sheamus, he really beat the crap out of Barrett for a bit. And then Mark Henry started getting involved. Boom, gets hit with a bro kick.
But even before that, when Sheamus faked throwing Barrett over and Henry tipped over, I thought that was a good touch. And then I couldn't tell, during the match, it looked like Henry really got hurt by the brogue kick, because they had 2, and I'm using air quotes, medical staffers looking at him. I'm sure those guys were medical staffers, but I didn't know if it was real or if it was part of the work. I thought, oh geez, because he has been prone to getting hurt in weird ways.
Yeah.
And I thought, if this really is an injury, this is going to be bad. But right at the end of the match, like perfect timing, he goes over there with a strap.
Yeah.
And starts beating
the
Sheamus.
crap out of Sheamus. And Sheamus tweeted out yesterday. Did you see that?
No.
He tweeted out a photo of his back, just welts everywhere. I mean, he looked red.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got a guy who marks up easy anyway.
Yeah.
And which is different than people marking out. And then you have, I mean, the belt. I mean, you look at when he's been chopped. Remember, was it at WrestleMania when Big Show chopped him and he looked like somebody gave him like a purple normal. And I mean, that wasn't that long. It was just boom, red. So I can imagine when anybody's back would be red like that, especially him, it's going to look terrible.
Yeah, it looks really bad, but it really sells, that he was actually whipping him. And someone tweeted to Jim Ross, and he goes, "What do you think about a Sheamus and Mark Henry in a strap match at Extreme Rules?" And Jim Ross was in. He's like, "Yeah, dude." So that might be what we get at Extreme Rules.
I assume that's what they were alluding to anyway. Once I saw the strap, I thought, well, they're going to have a strap match.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, right now we have a triple threat ladder match, a strap match, a last man standing match. Is there anything else confirmed as far as what the gimmick is?
I don't think so. I mean, we're still waiting to see what the tag team, what they're doing with that. And I heard they're trying to build the Shield versus the Brothers of Destruction for SummerSlam.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. If they can talk Undertaker into doing it.
Will that include Daniel Bryan?
I don't know,
because that would be a 3-on-3, and I could see them putting the tag titles on the line there, and you could have, I mean, myriad things could happen. I could see Undertaker being the one to get pinned to lose the titles for the guys who actually have the belts. And that could start an Undertaker-Daniel Bryan feud, although that might be a little premature saying that those two would fight at WrestleMania.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It would be tough to believe
it could start a Kane-Undertaker feud, which I don't think anybody really wants to see, but I could see Undertaker wanting to close his career out at WrestleMania against Kane. And if it was guaranteed or somewhat guaranteed that this would be Undertaker's final match, I think people would go for it.
I read this. The guy wrote it out beautifully. He said the Undertaker should come out and say he's gonna continue fighting at WrestleMania until he loses, and his first loss at WrestleMania will be his final match. That way, every single year you believe that it could end, because he said it's gonna end eventually. Mm-hmm. So you're not going in thinking, oh, the streak's going to go on forever, he's going to win, and why even bother? That way, every year you're like, oh shit, I wonder is this a year?
That's a great point. Yeah. That's a great point. The only thing, and I don't think it's enough to not do it, the only thing is you're guaranteeing that the streak will end unless he were to die or something that before one of the WrestleManias. That's the only thing that I think would be a tiny bit of a problem. But far outweighing that is what you said. Yeah. People are going to want to be there to see
exactly.
it.
I want to be there to see the streak end.
And people are going to want to at least have it on pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. It'd be cool. What if you had an Undertaker versus the Shield match? 3-on-1.
At WrestleMania?
I
just don't see that being believable.
Or an elimination match or something like that. Or a gauntlet or something. Like he has to beat all three.
I just don't see that feud going that long. I don't see it going from now until WrestleMania.
Who else on the roster could face him right now?
We've already talked about John Cena as a possibility.
Yeah.
I think really John Cena's all they've got left as far as somebody who you could believe to be the one to end the streak. And that
Lesnar maybe.
And that would be very WWE-like. I don't think they would give it to a guy like Lesnar.
I don't think so either.
Because he's a part-timer.
Believability, though.
Believability, certainly, but I don't think that they would want to give that accolade to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
To say you're because they love The Undertaker. He's well-respected. And I think that Undertaker would want to give that to maybe a Cena or... I don't know, someone else.
Punk.
Well, I don't know if I want to see another. I mean, we've had two. I don't want to see another two. We had Michaels twice, Triple H twice in a row, 3 overall.
Yeah.
But I think Cena's that only guy unless they bring back Nathan Jones.
All right, I'll let that one slide. We had Kane versus Ryback in our main event to finish off Raw. The match was two big guys going at it. Never really that exciting. And Ryback was kind of on the downside until he knocked... I think he knocked him off the ropes. And then he hit him with the clothesline and the... What is it called? Shell shock.
The shell shock.
And then the Shield comes out.
And a weird moment happened when watching it. At first, when I saw Daniel Bryan go into the ring, they had the full camera view, like they had the wide shot, and it looked like one of them missed a spot. Like it looked like they were supposed to fight or something, and then Ryback like quickly exited the ring in a weird way where it didn't look right. It looked like he was supposed to get out of the ring sooner, because he and Bryan were just standing next to each other for a couple of seconds. Then Ryback takes off, and then he comes back and beats up Cena after Cena comes out. I think it's too convenient for Ryback to not be having any interaction with the Shield. I think they're in cahoots. I just have a feeling, and I think your can't beat him, join him theory is possibly the route they could go.
But why would the Shield allow him into the Shield?
He's not. He couldn't be in. He could easily not be in the Shield
or part. An alliance with the Shield.
They could say that what Cena has done to Ryback is an injustice, and that Cena being the champion is an injustice. They could say that they're willing to overlook Ryback's what would be the word to use? Ryback's indiscretions. That they'll forgive what he did last year, even though he didn't do anything, because they have a common enemy in John Cena. Mm-hmm. And then that would be, I think, the convenient way of getting out.
Did you see that?
I did not see that. We have on the TV right now J.A. Happ, the Blue Jays starter who took that line drive off the head.
It was great. I saw the... And he hit and he fell, and he's holding his head where he got hit, and then his other ear starts bleeding.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Did they just show it, or was he laying there?
I think he was just lying there.
Okay, yeah, I still haven't seen it.
Oh, it was awful.
I've read the stories. He got released out of the hospital today.
Good.
He said he's on the 15-day DL, but he said that he feels a little better, and he's overwhelmed by the support he's received from the baseball community and all the well wishes and everything. He said it was pretty neat that people really reached out to him. But yeah, I hope he'll be okay. And now we're talking about baseball.
Yeah.
They're talking about.
Remember that Simpsons episode where baseball
where Homer got beamed in the head and the softball team won the championship because it was the bases loaded. He got subbed out for Darryl Strawberry. Subbed in.
Yeah. Get rid of those sideburns.
Mattingly.
Yeah. Anyways,
Homer at the bat, best episode.
Raw,
that episode.
I'll give it a C. It was a pretty average episode.
Yeah, I mean, I fell asleep during it. I fell asleep during the final hour, and I had to watch it on DVR the last couple of days. I think once we get through Extreme Rules, if we have a new champion, which I just don't see happening, because I don't see Cena having that short run.
1 month.
Even though it wouldn't be anything for them to put it right back on him.
Yeah.
At the next pay-per-view or even the next night. But I think once we get through Extreme Rules, we might have some hope coming into the summer. I just don't want Cena to be the guy they push. And I think it's do or die for Ryback. I think if he doesn't perform well in the next week or two, his summer's done, and he'll fall back into oblivion, and he'll be a mid-carder.
Yeah, it should be a good pay-per-view. I'm excited to see what happens, and they could really do some interesting things with it. But we're going to get into our, I guess you can call it, top 10. And this week we did the Well, it's 10. It's our personal top 5s.
We wanted to do top 10 foreign objects, and we came up with a list while brainstorming, and we just kept going and going, and there's some cool ones on here. Like we said at the top, some are the everyday match items that you would find under a ring, next to a ring, and others are ones that have been used throughout time with specific characters, and then others might be part of a special match.
Exactly.
So we'll give you the whole list. First, we'll give you each our own top 5, and then we'll go through them because some of them are pretty cool.
Yeah. My number 5 was the urn, and everyone knows what the urn is and how it's used, and that's all I really got to say. It's definitely one of the most famous props ever, and I loved it.
One of my favorite things about foreign objects in wrestling is their exaggerated ability to inflict pain.
Yeah.
And I mean that's why they are, they're banned. They're foreign objects. They're not part of a regular match. They're supposed to harm somebody more than a chin lock or a suplex. But one that I really get a kick out of is the fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to get hit with a fire extinguisher, it could hurt.
Sure.
But oftentimes when it's used, guys are sprayed with the fire extinguisher, and it will put a guy down for a while.
Yeah.
It will disorient them,
Cool them off a little.
And I just get a kick out of how effective it is, and it's not one that's used as often as a chair, but it's usually at ringside. I think for the sake of, I guess, safety, it should be at ringside in case something happens, especially with these, fire table fire matches, or I can't even think, flaming table matches. Yeah. Sorry, fire table. I'm an idiot.
Fire table.
Fire extinguisher is my number 5.
Sweet. My number 4 is another wrestler specific one, and it's the 2x4 from Jim Duggan, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Oh.
Now, looking back, I wish he would have been a heel character so he would have used it more on people.
Yeah. I mean, it's simple. It's just a piece of wood, but it's so iconic. It can do a lot of damage if you get hit with it, too.
And also, in the Attitude Era, the Union used the 2x4s. Big Show, Test, Mankind, and Ken Shamrock. Huh. They came to the ring, and as a show of solidarity, they all carried 2x4s.
Nice.
To be blue collar looking, I guess.
Sure.
My number 4, the classic, the everyday chair. The steel chair, the folding chair, whatever you want to call it. That one I love because it's the basic element in a foreign object. When you think of a foreign object, you think of a chair. And it would hurt. They've banned chair shots to the head in WWE, and I think that's for the better.
Yeah.
I'll admit, though, I love cracking dudes in the skull on the video games.
Oh, hell yeah.
With the chair.
Nothing better. Move. Especially when they're bloody and then it gets all over the chair.
And that's the coolest thing is that, if there's a wrestling match, there's going to be a chair around because people are sitting down in them. And if you're going to hit somebody hard with something and you want to put them down, use a chair. It'll be effective. It will really work. So
right to the unless it's Cena, because he'll just get up.
Super Cena he requires a lot of chair shots. He never gives up.
Did you know that?
I've heard that. I saw it on a t-shirt once too.
He's the leader of the Never Give Up Nation.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is it's been used by a couple guys, but it's a guitar, and specifically the acoustic guitar, because I know there has been an electric guitar as well, but the acoustic where you can just smash it over the guy's head. Honky Tonk Man and Jeff Jarrett both did it all the time, and and I love when like the outside of it like sticks around there, and they're laying there, and the body of the guitar is still around their neck. That's really cool. It's just an awesome looking shot.
And I guess, are those prop guitars, do you think?
They gotta be.
I mean, because obviously they're a little lighter than
the
actual acoustic guitar. I mean, because some of those acoustic guitars, especially the back, if you were hit with those, I don't think it would break. Yeah, and it would harm you.
If it did break, you could get cut in the throat. There is definitely a stunt guitar. Otherwise, people could die.
My number 3 was the Poison Mist. You look at the Great Muta, Tajiri, I think as recently as Tensai, and I mean a host of other wrestlers in and out of WWE have used the Poison Mist. I love it, and I mean you could really go in this category. You could go with things like the salt, powder, any other kind of liquid. But the poison mist I love because the reaction of the person who has it done to them, and of course the aftermath, what's left behind, the look, and also just the way the announcers talk about it, just, oh my god, that miss, blinding a guy. Pretty much, it's guaranteed to end a match, or at least change the outcome.
I don't like the specifics of it. Aren't it's just a mist. Like, it doesn't say what kind of poison,
or how it's poisoning.
Yeah,
like why is the guy who has it in his mouth not affected by this poison?
It's only bad if you get it in your eyes,
Yeah, or all over your face. You can consume it. It just
you can drink it,
your
but
body.
Don't put it near your eyes.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is another specific one, and it's Damien, the snake that Jake Roberts would bring to the ring. Later on, it would be. Was it Lucifer?
Lucifer.
But Damien was the main one, and when he bit, was it Macho Man? Mm-hmm. I was afraid of Jake the Snake Roberts growing up. I'm like, is that snake gonna get out? I was always worried that someone was gonna get bit and die.
And I think Damien met his end in the wrestling world by the earthquake sitting on him. I think that's how Damien died. And what's this?
That's Madison Square Garden. I was there. It was cool.
Special.
Yeah. Sorry, we're watching hockey.
But no, my number 2. So that was Damien. Your number 2. My number 2 is the ring bell.
Yeah.
I love the ring bell in real life, but it became a favorite of mine from the wrestling video games, from WrestleMania 2000. And No Mercy.
Like everything in your life.
Oh yeah. and then in the SmackDown versus Raw games and WWE 12 and WWE 13, just the sound, just the sound of the sound it makes when you hit a guy, and just again how effective a tool that would be to use on somebody.
It must have been about a year or year and a half ago. It's Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton on SmackDown, and Orton hit Rhodes with the bell, and it cut his head open. And he was just bleeding everywhere. And even with the cuts on SmackDown, you could see blood everywhere, and they were trying to cut it out. That is such a devastating weapon. Like, you can kill someone with that. It's such a heavy, like...
When you use it, too, I mean, they almost always get their hands up, and I'm assuming Cody didn't get it. I remember when he was split, because he had staples. I get staples put in his head then. I did not see that match.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But I just saw the aftermath, so I think
maybe somebody
screwed up there.
Yeah.
What was your number 1?
My number 1, and it's the Spanish announce table, and not just the regular announce table. It has to be the Spanish announce table. It's such a cliche now that any pay-per-view you go to, they got the Spanish announce team there, and that table's going down. You know it's going to happen. It's kind of like when you watch Star Trek and the guy in the red shirt dies. It's just one of those things that you know is going to happen, but you still love it anyways, and you wait for that moment, and it's easily my favorite gimmick and foreign object that they use.
I just need to state for the record that I didn't know the guy in the red shirt dying was a thing on Star Trek.
It is.
So I'm not a nerd.
Oh, okay.
Like you, apparently.
I love Star Trek.
That's excellent.
I'm not even ashamed.
Are you excited for the new movie coming out?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to see the first new one.
It's good. You should check it out.
That's what everybody says.
But I'm a big fan of like the classic Star Trek.
Okay.
I own all of Next Generation, and I own all of DS9 on DVD. So if you ever want to borrow those,
that's okay. You can.
It would take you 6 months to watch them.
I know a lot more about you now.
Yeah.
My number 1, again, kind of like number 5 with the fire extinguisher. It's exaggerated effectiveness, and it's the reason they wrestle. And this should lay a guy out, and it usually always does. It's the belt.
Yep.
The championship belt. You get hit with that thing, you are done. And I love...
Again, unless you're John Cena.
Yes.
Always the asterisk.
I love how the move, how it's performed when they so lightly hit them, and then the guy looks like he was dropped by a bullet.
Yeah.
So I love the belt. I mean, it's the reason they compete. It's what they play for. And yeah, I said play. And it should be also the most powerful, and it pretty much is
to win the game.
So that's my number 1, the belt. Do you want to read some of these?
Yeah, I'm gonna read. I'll just go ahead and read them all out. Here's the ones that were in contention, and ours are going to be on here as well. I'm just going to read through them though. We had the chair, we had the steel steps, the ring bell, brass knuckles, which almost made my list. The belt, like you were talking about, fire extinguisher again. Baseball bat, kendo stick, thumbtacks, which, oh man, there's no way to fake thumbtacks.
No.
There's no way. Oh, like when Randy Orton went to give the RKO to Mick Foley, I believe, and Foley like pushed him off and he fell on him. Oh, that looked terrible. Oh, okay. Anyways, ladder, a regular table, like just
like
wooden,
they use in the table matches.
Yeah, exactly. Poison mist, salt, like Mr. Fuji.
Mm-hmm.
You got powder, a stop sign, like Raven, trash can lid, blood from the Brood, the barbed wire bat, made famous by Mick Foley, the water bottle, R-Truth special, the announcer table, just a regular announcer table, the Spanish announce table, sledgehammer, Triple H. We had the guitar, cookie sheet, bedpan, which is an awesome one as well, cattle prod, nightstick.
And the nightstick is my runner-up, also known as the Tongfar.
Yep.
The big boss man.
We had the briefcase, and that could either be IRS's...
IRS. Erwin R. Shyster.
Erwin R. Shyster, yeah. Or the Money in the Bank briefcase. We had the chain, like Cena has had and used. In fact, he put down Lesnar last year with it at Extreme Rules.
Mm-hmm.
We had the whip, or a strap. The shillelagh from... Finley. We wrote down person, but more specifically Hornswoggle, because you could just throw him at people, and people have done that. Owen Hart's Slammy Award, a casket, clipboard, hockey stick, handcuffs. What is this? Oh, snake, yeah. Tennis racket, megaphone, urn, cane, rope, goblet, scale, Al Snow's head, clothing, and you want to describe what that means?
If you were to take like a vest off and choke somebody with it, choking your opponent with any kind of clothing.
The 2x4, and finally a Steve Weiser, which is a cool one as well.
The can of Steve Weiser,
yeah,
which made me think of the No Mercy video game where you could use Rock Book, can of Steve Weiser, the Stone Cold Foam Finger, and I think it was a foam Brahma Bull head, and the wedge of cheese.
The wedge of cheese.
Those also could be weapons.
So that's all of them. If we missed any of your favorites, or we just blanked on ones that are pretty common, let us know. You can reach us at ImmortalsPcast, at 97Bush, at Jimmy Bellamy. Check out our website, www.podcastingimmortals.wordpress.com. We got our top 10 lists on there, some raw recaps, everything. Make sure to rate us on iTunes and subscribe on iTunes if you haven't done so already. And that's all we got for you this week. We actually are right around the 1 hour mark for the first time in ever.
Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next week.
All right, peace.